The sun of Arden 7 was red and tired, casting long shadows across the small colony. Machines hummed, dust swirled, and life moved at its usual slow pace. People came and went, fixing, trading, surviving. No one thought much about the man in the old workshop at the edge of the landing field. Caleb Vance, the single dad with a toolbox older than most ships that landed there. Caleb wasn't a hero or a soldier. He was just a mechanic. He fixed broken engines, tuned drones, and patched up power converters. He lived a quiet life with his 10-year-old daughter Lena, who always had oil stains on her hands and a smile brighter than the sun. She followed him everywhere, curious about everything. They had a small home behind the workshop, filled with the smell of grease and the sound of laughter. Every evening, Caleb and Lena would sit on the roof and watch ships take off into the deep, glittering sky. Lena would ask questions about the stars, and Caleb would answer with stories about old Earth, about courage, and about how even a small spark could light the darkest sky. One afternoon, while fixing a shuttle's thruster coil, Caleb noticed something strange. The air around the landing zone shimmered like heat rising from metal. Then came the sound, not of engines but of music. It was a low hum, almost like a voice humming a note that no human throat could make. Everyone stopped what they were doing. The sky opened with a soft silver light, and something vast and smooth descended. It wasn't like any ship they had ever seen. It was round, almost alive in its movements, glowing with patterns that shifted like ocean waves. The colony fell silent. When the ship touched the ground, the dust didn't rise. Instead, the air rippled gently outward. The crowd gathered in wonder. Caleb wiped his hands on a rag, his eyes narrowing. He had repaired every kind of ship, human, alien, and hybrid, but nothing like this. The ramp opened with a faint hum, and tall figures stepped out. They were Valen, beings from the heart of the galaxy, slender, graceful, and dressed in silver cloth that shimmered like water. Their faces were calm, their voices melodic, their manner proud. The leader introduced himself as Orlin, a cultural observer of the Valen Empire. He said they had come in peace to study humanity's growth and offer friendship. The colonists were thrilled, a real imperial envoy. Cameras blinked, drones buzzed, and people whispered excitedly. The Valen invited a few to come aboard the ship and see their technology, an opportunity beyond imagination. But Caleb's eyes weren't on the visitors. They were on the ship. He stepped closer, studying the faint pulse of light that moved along its hull. It didn't move like energy. It moved like a heartbeat. He held up his scanner. The readings made no sense. Power flow reversed, core output fluctuating, like it was alive. His heart sank. He knew engines better than he knew himself, and this was no engine he'd ever seen. He shouted, voice sharp and loud, "Don't enter that ship!" Everyone turned. The colonists froze. Even the Valen stopped moving. The echo of his shout hung in the air. Orlin's calm expression shifted to quiet surprise. "Why do you raise your voice, human?" he asked softly, his tone polite but edged. Caleb stepped forward. "That's not a normal power field. Your ship. It's drawing energy inward, not out. It's collapsing its own core." The crowd murmured. Orlin's companions exchanged glances. "You presume to understand our vessel?" Orlin asked. "You? A mechanic from a backwater colony?" Caleb didn't answer immediately. He looked at the ship again, at the rhythmic light crawling along its surface like something breathing under glass. He said quietly, "I don't have to understand it to know something's wrong. Listen to it." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Lena tugged at his sleeve and whispered, "Dad, it's breathing." Orlin frowned. "Nonsense. This vessel is powered by harmonic cores. It does not breathe." But as if to answer her, the ship gave a low sound, a deep vibration that everyone felt rather than heard. The ground trembled slightly. The lights on the hull flickered, then brightened. The Valen delegates stepped back. "That was not expected," one said nervously. Caleb's scanner beeped wildly. It's reacting to something, he muttered. Maybe sound, maybe energy from the people nearby. Orlin looked at him sharply. It should not react to any external frequency. Caleb looked at the readings again. Then it's not a ship. It's something else. The Valen crowd exchanged uneasy glances. Orlin gestured to his crew. We will handle this. Human, stay back. But Caleb didn't. He watched the energy levels climb in unstable waves. He could almost feel the pattern, like emotion rising and falling. Fear, curiosity, confusion. Whatever was inside the ship, it wasn't just machinery. It was aware. The crowd of colonists had gone quiet, unsure whether to run or watch. The hum grew louder, the air trembling in strange waves. Then the ship's ramp suddenly closed on its own, sealing the Valen team inside. Orlin spun around in shock. It locked us out, he said in disbelief. Caleb stepped forward slowly, his hand resting on Lena's shoulder. It's not locking you out, he said softly. It's protecting itself. The alien's silver eyes widened. Protecting? Caleb nodded. If it's alive, it's scared. You said it doesn't react to emotion, but maybe that's exactly what it does. You're flooding it with fear. The Valen didn't answer. Their logic had no room for such ideas. To them, machines obeyed and life was catalogued, nothing in between. Yet this thing defied both. Caleb crouched down, feeling the vibration under the ground. It wasn't just mechanical hum. It pulsed like a heartbeat, slow, uneven, almost like a creature trying to breathe. He turned to Orlin. You said you built this? Orlin hesitated. Our scientists designed it. The core was discovered on an uninhabited world. We integrated it into our ship systems. Caleb frowned. You built around it, but you never asked what it was. The alien blinked, uncomprehending. It was a power source. Maybe it was more than that, Caleb said quietly. Maybe it was alive before you turned it into your engine. A low ripple passed through the ship, like a sigh. The energy readings jumped, then steadied. For a strange moment, Caleb felt as though the ship heard him. Orlin looked at him with something like uncertainty. If you are correct, then it is dangerous to both of us. Caleb shook his head. No, just confused. Like any living thing when it wakes up somewhere it doesn't understand. Lena peeked out from behind him. Can it hear us, Dad? He smiled faintly. Maybe it can, sweetheart. Maybe that's the problem. Everyone's talking, but no one's listening. The wind picked up, carrying the metallic scent of ozone. The Valen crew worked desperately to override their systems, but the ship refused their commands. The colonists began backing away, murmuring in fear. Caleb stayed still, eyes fixed on the glowing hull. He spoke softly, almost kindly. You don't have to be scared. Nobody's going to hurt you. The hum softened. The light flickered in a slower rhythm, almost calm. Orlin stared. It responds to you. Caleb shrugged. Maybe it just understands tone. Or maybe it recognizes that I'm not shouting at it like it's a tool. The alien looked both astonished and unsettled. You speak to machines as if they have feelings. Caleb smiled sadly. I've spent my whole life fixing things that people gave up on. Sometimes they work again when you show them a bit of patience. The Valen stood silent. In that quiet, the ship's hum steadied into something like a peaceful song. But deep down, Caleb knew this was only the beginning. Whatever was inside that ship had heard him, and it was thinking. He didn't know what it wanted yet, or why it had chosen to wake now. But he felt certain of one thing. The moment he shouted that warning, something in the galaxy had shifted. And soon everyone, human and alien alike, would learn that sometimes the smallest voice, the voice of a simple mechanic and his curious child, could change the fate of empires. As the stars blinked overhead, the strange ship pulsed once more, like a heartbeat sinking to his daughter's quiet breathing beside him. Caleb didn't understand it yet, but he would, because tomorrow, the Empire would come asking questions. and the answers would shake everything they believed to be true. Caleb hardly slept that night. The hum from the alien ship rolled across the colony like a slow heartbeat, steady but uneasy. The Valen guards had surrounded it, but none dared step closer. Even their technology seemed afraid. Lights flickered whenever they approached. Machines shut down for no reason. The air itself felt heavy, like the calm before a storm that wasn't made of wind. Lena sat by the window, watching the glow in the distance. "Dad," she whispered, "do you think it's lonely?" Caleb looked up from his workbench, where he had been trying to make sense of the readings from his scanner. "Maybe," he said softly. "If it's alive and doesn't understand where it is, then yes. I think it's scared and lonely. Like a lost pet?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Something like that. Just a very big, very powerful one." At dawn, a knock came at the door. It was Orlin, the Valen leader. His perfect silver robe looked less perfect now, his calm face lined with worry. "We need your help, human," he said simply. Caleb blinked. "You sure about that?" "Yesterday I was just a low-born tinkerer," Orlin sighed. "Yesterday we believed our science explained everything. Today it explains nothing." Caleb followed him outside. The air shimmered around the ship again, but now the glow was uneven, like it was breathing faster. The Valen scientists were arguing in low tones, their instruments flashing warnings in their strange language. "What's happening?" Caleb asked. "It is absorbing energy," Orlin said. "Not just from the ground or machines, but from us. From emotions, perhaps," Caleb frowned. "Then we've been feeding it fear all night." He turned to Lena. "Stay back, sweetheart." She nodded, but didn't move far. Caleb walked closer to the ship until the vibrations tingled in his bones. He spoke softly. "I know you can hear me. I'm not here to hurt you. You're confused, and that's okay." The hum softened, almost like it was listening. Orlin's eyes widened. "It reacts to your tone again." Caleb nodded. "Machines don't understand words the way we do, but they feel patterns. Maybe this one feels emotion too." He knelt, pulling a small device from his bag, a transmitter he used for testing broken drones. He connected it to his scanner and began to record. "Lena," he called. "Come here a moment." She ran over. "What do you need, Dad?" "Just say something happy. Something real." She thought for a second and then said, giggling, "You still owe me a story about the time you got stuck in a cargo tube." Caleb laughed, shaking his head. "I told you that story already. Not the funny part," she said. Her laughter filled the dusty air like sunlight. Caleb played the recording back, looping it through his transmitter. The sound of his daughter's laughter echoed gently, carried by the wind toward the strange ship. The glow changed. The ship's lights slowed, their pattern smoothing into calm waves. The vibrations became gentle, almost like a cat purring. Orlin stared, speechless. What did you do?" Caleb shrugged. Maybe it just needed something to hold on to. A sound that means peace instead of fear. The Valen scientists hurriedly scanned the ship again, whispering in awe. Their readings showed the energy drain stabilizing. "It's calming," one said. "Impossible. No device could—" "It's not the device," Caleb interrupted. "It's the feeling behind it." Orlin looked at him, truly seeing him for the first time. "Your people. You act on emotion, not logic. Yet somehow that has power." Caleb smiled gently. "Emotion isn't the opposite of logic. It's the bridge between understanding and compassion. You can't fix something if you don't care about it first." For a long moment there was silence. Only the sound of Lena's recorded laughter floated in the air. Then the ship responded. The glowing patterns shifted, forming shapes, gentle spirals and waves, like it was trying to speak in light. Caleb watched closely, reading the rhythm. "It's copying the sound," he whispered. "It's learning," Orlin looked amazed. "It learns from kindness." The next few hours were a blur. Caleb worked with the Valen to stabilize the power field. He guided them to reroute the energy through softer frequencies, using emotion-based tones, laughter, calm voices, even music from the colonists' old recordings. The ship absorbed it all, glowing brighter each time. As the day faded into evening, the ship began to rise slowly into the air, hovering quietly above the colony. It wasn't trapped anymore. Orlin turned to Caleb. "It wants to leave," he said softly. "But it seems to." "Thank you," Caleb nodded, eyes shining. "It doesn't owe me thanks. I just listened." The ship ascended higher, its surface reflecting the colors of the sunset. For a moment it paused. Then a soft beam of light touched the ground near Lena. She gasped, feeling a warm pulse through her fingertips. It was like a farewell. And then the ship was gone, disappearing into the clouds, leaving only a faint shimmer in the air. The colonists cheered. For the first time, they understood what had just happened. A simple mechanic and his daughter had done what the most advanced empire in the galaxy could not. They had spoken the universal language of kindness. Orlin approached Caleb once more. "You have changed something today," he said quietly. "Not just here, but in our entire empire. Our people will hear this story. They will study it. We thought only intellect could guide progress, but now we see empathy can shape it too." Caleb rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. "I'm not a philosopher. I just fix things when they're broken." "Perhaps," Orlin said, smiling faintly, "that is what the galaxy needs most." Over the next few days, the Valen packed up their camp. Their ship, a real one this time, not the living kind, prepared for departure. Before leaving, Orlin visited Caleb's workshop one last time. He handed Caleb a small metallic cube. "A data crystal," he explained. "It contains our full report and your daughter's laughter. We call it the Harmony Sequence. Our council will study it for generations." Caleb chuckled softly. "You're giving an empire homework," Orlin's smile widened. "And you have reminded us what it means to listen." When the Valen ship lifted off, Lena waved until it became a dot in the sky. Then she turned to her father. "Do you think they'll ever come back?" He looked up at the fading trail of light. "Maybe, but even if they don't, they'll remember. That's enough." Life slowly returned to normal. Ships came and went. Engines broke and were fixed, and the colony's days passed in peace. But every now and then, Caleb would catch a faint hum in the air, like a soft echo of that living ship's song. And he'd smile. One night, as they sat on the roof again, Lena pointed to a bright new star twinkling above the horizon. "Look, Dad. That one's new," he smiled. "Maybe it's not a star. Maybe it's saying hello," she giggled. "You think it misses us?" "Maybe," he said. "Or maybe it's just listening to you." She leaned against him, her eyes growing heavy with sleep. "I like that better than a bedtime story." He brushed her hair gently. "Then let's call it a good night story." The night deepened and the stars shimmered like scattered diamonds. Somewhere out there, the Valen Empire was rewriting their understanding of life, trying to learn the strange power humans carried without even knowing it. The power to connect through care, through laughter, through the warmth of a small child's voice. And on a quiet world far from the center of the galaxy, a single dad sat beside his daughter, content and calm, knowing he had done something no weapon, no empire, and no machine ever could.